What I'm trying to say is, we're a good podcast, but we drink a little.
That's why we're fun in the second half.
It's our thing.
Uncle Pennybags over here drinking more than one Fireside Chat.
Hello and welcome to the GameBrew Podcast, episode 84. I am your host, Ian Richard.
The bi-weekly video game podcast where we sip delicious beers, discuss video games, and torment Brad Pitt with what may or may not be in this box. I am your host, Ian, King Leoric Richard, and I'm joined by Dan Deckard Kane Rotz.
Oh, there's the thing he says, I'll tell you a story, or something.
Stay a while and listen.
Come on, man.
Stay a while and listen.
There you go. Chris Turiel writes.
Bassy, angelic voice.
Allison Adria Van Devender.
We've been saying it wrong for years.
Yeah, just I don't
literally
care.
years.
Just keep doing it.
Okay, I'll do your name again. Allison Adria Van Devender.
I've been really badass for 2 weeks in a row, so next week you probably have to make me something really lame.
Okay. Alex Heydrich writer.
I haven't played Diablo. I don't know any quotes.
And today we will be talking with a special guest, Nick Marinelli, a.k.a. Diablo, the Lord of Terror himself.
Hi, we're in
About his
Delaware.
company, Video Games in Concert. And we'll be checking in with him about pandemic life and video games and music. But first, it's time for a beer. Chris! Oh my god. What are we drinking this week?
Who almost is everyone okay first?
Yes.
That was Ian was not okay.
Okay.
My Guinness literally just went all over the
Your
floor,
Guinness
but I'm going to recover the rest
roll
of
it
it
over?
into a cup, yes.
Oh, dang.
It's okay. We know how I react to Guinness.
So this week I'm drinking Sixpoint Brewery's Hootie, which is a hazy IPA. 6 points from New York. For whatever reason, I thought they were not from New York and were perhaps from Colorado, just based on what they look like. But you know, you shouldn't judge people by what they look like. And yeah, they come in these cool little thin cans.
Ooh, that's
Yeah, they're
cool.
kind of fun.
It's,
Yeah.
it's a tall one. It's like a White Claw
It looks like a really big Red Bull to me.
Or
that
like
kind of can
a
style.
beer version of a White Claw.
Yep.
Does it have any, and the blowfish?
No, the bluefish is like kind of like a thing that you put on separately to kind of garnish it.
Okay.
Got it. It's
So,
a
so that's the full drink.
Got it.
Poor guess.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I've probably had it before, but I haven't had it for a while, and it's pretty good.
That's awesome. Nick, what are you drinking?
I got 21st Amendment's Fireside Chat,
Excellent.
which is
yes.
maybe a little bit hot outside for this. Normally, I'm a Hefeweizen kind of guy, but I haven't eaten much today, and this is 7.9%. So get ready for me to get shitty.
That's a pretty
Yay,
heavy
fun
beer.
half.
Second half, we call that fun, Nick. Let's just add fun to whatever your name is, and that's what you are in the second half.
Do you have any dad jokes to go with your beer's name?
News headline: remains to be seen if clear caskets become popular.
There we go.
I love it.
You fit right in.
Jesus
You fit right in.
Alex, what do you got over there?
I have a form of Guinness. I'm drinking the Guinness Blonde, which is brewed here in
Look at
Baltimore.
that. And I am drinking Guinness straight up draft, which is beautiful and very frothy at this particular moment. Dan?
I'm keeping. We did some Victory last time, so I'm keeping the Victory train going and drinking some Summer Love.
Doing a
Because
victory
Dan
lap.
does nothing but win, win, win.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what.
Wow. Fun Dan already.
That
My
was a loss,
words
so I would like to counterpoint.
are bad.
And Allison?
I'm drinking wine. It's just Moscato. I don't know.
But from who?
Moscato.
Oh, it's my favorite. I don't know. I'm gonna say it wrong because I'm not good with things like this. It's Castillo de Poggio?
I've never I've never pronounced anything wrong.
It's
definitely not your name, which, isn't a big deal to me at all.
It's literally not a deal to me. It's so funny.
I promise to get it right moving forward. Allison, do you want to start off the next section by telling us what you've been playing this week?
I've been playing Final Fantasy 14.
Schvarteen.
Dig it in, huh?
Schvarteen.
Yeah, and just a game or two of League, because it's kind of dead, but,
League is dead?
Whatever.
Well, Valorant
my team's dead.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa. This is actual news.
Breaking news.
I've lost my Steam for it.
Although, if it were to be the time for League of Legends to die, COVID times would be the time when that would happen.
Yeah, it's just they're doing that desperate thing that games like this do, where once their big popularity spike moment runs out, they just start throwing the heaviest, most broken character moments at you, and it's everything's unbalanced and it's just obnoxious right now.
Oh, and they also make a CCG. So
because they're focusing other places is the problem.
Remember that time that every company ever made a CCG? That was cool.
Yeah. Hey, it was the best time of my life.
Can I just say, Final Fantasy 14 brought the card game from 8 into it, and that makes me really happy.
Oh, what is it?
Triad.
It's like Triple Triad. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. Anyway, side note, I just found that out this week. All right, that's me. Moving on.
Dan.
I am continuing or continuing again my traversal of Bloodborne. Because I played up to a point the first time, and I was like, this is really hard. I don't want to do it. Since then, I have played Sekiro, and I was like, wow, this is really hard. So I went back to Bloodborne, and I was like, oh, this isn't as hard as I thought it was before.
How far are you?
I am probably a little bit more than halfway through it. Blood Moon hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Have you gotten to the, what's the village called?
Yes. The one...
Before the cathedral? Or around the time of the cathedral?
After the cathedral, with the ladies who are screaming and being crazy.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, the screaming ladies, I do recall.
Yes,
Righteous, what have you been up to this week?
Why are you going so quick?
Because we got a lot of people.
We have a guest, and I just want to make sure he has...
It's just Bloodborne.
I just want to talk about Bloodborne, man.
It's just Bloodborne, okay?
We'll talk about it more. Dan will keep playing it.
It's fun. It's hard. I'm going to keep playing it. I'll probably stream it. People helped me beat bosses in Sekiro when I was streaming, so this will help.
All right.
Okay, Alex. Now you can go.
My turn. Okay. Since last podcast, I actually haven't been playing that much. I've just been mixing a lot of music recently.
Oh, can you talk to us about any of the things you're mixing?
Yeah, one of the projects is some guys that I've played in bands with over the years. A guy from our guitar player in Soundmakers Union, and then someone that...
He's one of my dungeon masters.
Yes, Jamie Frank.
Nice.
He's a very good dungeon master.
And then a drummer that I played with in high school some. We started the Essentials project at the beginning of the COVID-19 quarantine, and we wrote 2 songs kind of through cyberspace. We would each record a part, then send it to the next person. They'd record a part, then send it to the next person, and we have our third song is kind of in the works right now. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I remember seeing the first one pop up. You guys sound great.
Thanks, man.
Nice. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Nick?
I just got Streets of Rage 4.
Ooh.
It's,
okay.
It's on all platforms. I got it on Switch. It's both exactly what you would expect and exactly what you would want. It's just kind of the same side-scrolling beat 'em up, but it just feels very, very, very satisfying and visceral as you're playing through it.
Games like Streets that are based, really heavily that have traditions, I should say, in cabinets sometimes can feel either overly punishing or they don't have enough consequences when you do die. How does Streets feel in that? It's got four difficulty levels, so it's accommodating based on what you're looking for, and I
feel like they kind of upped the ability to be better at the game, because there's some more like special move mechanics in there. Normally you would you'd use your special move and it'd eat up like a quarter of your health, and that's it, and you would never use it because everyone lose your health. But this, you use your special move, and you can get that health back as long as you can get an unanswered combo back in there.
Oh, that's cool.
I like that.
So yeah, it's all about keeping up the combos. So yeah, it's good, and it's got a great lineup of musicians for the soundtrack, including the original composer Koshiro, as well as a lot of new faces.
Very cool. Can I ask about those Mega Man bosses? Are those Mega Man bosses on the wall behind you?
Those are perler beads. My wife made those for me.
That's amazing.
And I also have an article from Nintendo Power talking about those perler beads. They had interviewed my wife for that. And, yeah, I don't know. It was just
How neat.
we worked on it together. It's just it's a bunch of fucking plastic that you just iron together.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Love those.
Sorry, go ahead.
Of those bosses, which one is your favorite?
My favorite Mega Man 2 boss? I'm a Mega Man 5 guy. I'm not prepared to answer questions about 2.
Well, here at the GameBrew, we ask the tough questions.
Yeah, we ask the tough questions.
Hard-hitting questions.
Well, I see like Circle of Fifths man right there. It's just
right at the bottom?
Yeah.
He's great.
Yes.
Sorry, this is an audio medium. I just want to explain to everybody that on the very bottom of the bosses, there is a circle of fifths covering one of the bosses. So that is why that is funny. Thank you.
Thanks for that.
I think Heatman is adorable because it wasn't until I was like 26 that I realized he was supposed to be a Zippo.
Oh yeah.
I think what that shows, that's like a good litmus test for like what you were doing in middle school, whether or not you understand what Heatman is.
I thought he had like a mohawk or something.
And Chris, what have you been up to?
I, like others, haven't had a chance to play a ton of stuff recently, but I did play through Her Story again.
Whose story?
Hers. Also.
Oh, okay.
Blah, blah, blah. But
blah blah blah.
yeah, it's a really interesting game just because it's like almost not a game.
Yeah.
Because it's basically just an investigation, and you see a series of videos, and you kind of get to absorb a story through investigating these different videos that are shown out of order, and you kind of have to search through this directory based off of the things that the person they're interviewing is saying, and it's a really interesting way to absorb a story.
Yeah.
Ian, you've played it, correct?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I loved about Her Story too is that depending on the order in which you watch the videos, you can come to different conclusions about what the overall story was. And I don't want to like spoil anything, but there are some pretty major twists and turns in there. And what I walked away from as the story of Her Story in my head wasn't the story that, maybe the developers specifically had intended as the end, but like it was satisfying that I developed it on my own and that I got to be wrong about it even after completing the game. Not that I'm particularly good at the endings of games, because apparently I didn't notice the twist in what the heck was that Telltale game that I was like, what?
Probably Batman. Who knows?
No,
The Wolf Among
Batman.
Us.
The Wolf Among Us.
Yeah.
Oh, Wolf Among Us. Oh yeah.
I
that you
catch
didn't
the
really
twist at all.
understand the ending. Yeah, where I had to tell you what the ending of the game was that you played.
So yeah. But I thought Her Story was really, really compelling, and they're actually working on another sort of bigger title with similar gameplay. I'm putting that in quotes, coming out soon. So look out for that.
Out already.
What?
Out already.
Telling Lies.
Telling
that
Lies.
came out already.
There it is, and it's out already. Woo.
Fact, it's not out yet.
I have been playing a lot of Diablo 3, the Xbox One console edition, and I've decided that this is an outstanding game, and that the beautiful thing about Diablo 3 is that it turns every single person into a theory crafter. It does not matter how little you think you know about video games. All you want to do is like build up crazy combos with gear in Diablo 3 once you get to endgame, and that is fucking cool.
Nick, I do have to tell you a little bit something about Ian. Probably about 3 weeks ago, he also said that Diablo 3 was garbage. So
is that true?
Hot and
That's
cold
not
man.
true. That's not true.
I mean, he's able to change his mind based on new information, which is admirable. You don't see that enough.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, literally in one sentence on the last podcast, he described something as, what was it?
Don't get me started. I'll do it.
I mean, Will did it too. Apparently, it's
true.
just a thing.
It was Octopath Traveler, and what I said was, "This game is all right, but it's also great." And I stand by my statement.
Yeah, like, make a decision.
Well,
Make up your mind, man.
we'll talk about that more later. First, I want to get to our special guest. It is Nick. Nick, thanks for being here.
No pressure.
And you and Chris are somehow connected. How did the two of you meet? Tell us your meet cute.
Well, I was a young enforcer, and he was working at one of the So I was working at PAX East this year, right before all this pandemic stuff happened. And Nick was helping out with one of the bands that was performing there, and we just kind of got to talking, and we talked for a while, and I figured it would be a great time to invite him on the show.
Yeah, that sums up. Yeah, I was helping work at the Insane in the Rain merch booth table, and Chris was babysitting Bandland all weekend, and then we just proceeded to make jokes about Columbia, Maryland, for 12 hours.
And
There you go.
I
think that's how all the lovely fairy tales where people ride into the sunset together begin.
it's true.
That's right. That's true.
They're about Columbia, Maryland.
That's where they start. Yeah.
Basically.
James Rouse, he's a hell of a guy.
Thumbelina, Cinderella. Yeah, they all started.
They're all starting in Columbia.
Bibbidi bobbidi
Whoa! Wow. That got X-rated real quick.
I can't talk with words today.
But Nick, you run a company called Video Games in Concert, and I'm wondering, like, what kind of company is it, and how did you get it started?
So, Video Games in Concert is the world's first and only video game music band booking agency.
Nice.
We represent the best of a diverse range of genres from the video game music cover world: hip hop, jazz, classical, string quartet, classical piano, EDM, full chamber orchestra, and we're trying to help bring video game music. At least video game music bands outside of the convention scene that you usually see it, like MagFest and PAX and such, and more into the mainstream where normal people can go see it. So,
yes,
that's
those normal people.
Because you're right.
Goddamn normies.
Fun story, at my first MagFest, I was actually referred to as a goddamn normie.
That's true. I forgot.
Good times. So how did you get started with this company, though? Like, what inspired you to start a music booking agency specifically directed at video games and people who live in video games?
It actually wasn't my idea. It was Danny Flam, the guy who runs the New York City-based video game music big band Console. I was doing some online promo work for the 8-bit big band, a separate big band, which is really cool. You should check out. Not that you shouldn't also check out Console. But I pinged Danny to ask him for just some retweets, some shout outs. He had just come from this event out in like Sweden or Norway, one of those damn Nordic countries.
Damn Nordic countries.
It's a showcase event called Womex, where bands go to find bookers and bookers go to find bands. And he was
that's awesome.
Cool.
He was handing out his Console business cards, and people were like, "This is amazing. We've never seen anything like this before." And so he said to me, if we can get video game music at these things, people are gonna lose their shit. And so he had told me this in, I guess we met in October. And then there was this, like, the largest trade show, I'll say, for this kind of thing was the weekend after MagFest. So we had about 8 weeks to invent a brand from the ground up.
Holy cow.
So we got about a dozen bands signed, got all of the logo and the graphic design worked up, got the website cooked up, and then we hit the ground the week after MagFest up in New York City at this APAP conference, Association of Performing Arts Professionals, and we were just blowing people's minds there that they're there to book like jazz bands and dance theater, and they're like, what the hell is this? Video game music? Like they never. I tell you, I had, being with MagFest for so long, I had forgotten what it was like to talk to people who didn't know video game music was a thing. So.
And that's actually one of the things I wanted to ask is, what do you think it is about video game music that makes it so compelling to everyone who plays games? We don't necessarily go in that deep with, different aspects of games, but the music is always a topic of discussion. Why?
It's our generation's folk music. It's the common musical lexicon that we all recognize, and so it's these common melodies that we can hear, like those base ingredients in simple Nintendo form, and then that inspires us, and then we bring in our own inspirations external to that, whether we grew up listening to country or hip hop or orchestra music or whatever, and then use that. Oh my God,
I would love to hear Mario music, but country. That would just be outstanding.
You should check out the hit points. There are bluegrass.
I was going to say, you told me about bluegrass. Yeah,
he's got you. You name something, he'll figure it out. He'll pair you.
I want Legend of Zelda based metal. What should I listen to?
Master Sword, of course.
Obviously.
Fucking softball. Come on.
I'm sorry. I love Master Sword. I was on your website. I was looking around. I was like, oh, Master Sword. I love them.
They asked to use one of my pictures from MagFest once on their Twitter. That was cool. So that's my claim to fame. I'm pretty famous.
So, one thing I saw on the site, Nick, I thought was pretty cool, and you guys do education stuff with music, some of the guys here at the podcast, and I was never a music person, but I thought it was super cool that there was something on there about like master classes and like pairing with schools or something to bring video game music, and that would have like changed my world when I was in school. So I was just kind of wondering what that looks like for.
Yeah, so a lot of the performers with video games and concerts are video games and concerts. I don't know my own goddamn brand name. A lot of the video games and concert performers are professional educators. That's one of the things that they do aside from performing or composing. I think one of the people in Videri String Quartet has a PhD. The rest of them have masters. And so they do lessons in their spare time, and they also love going to universities to give workshops and master classes. And the great thing about game music is that since it's these recognized tunes, it can get people interested in music that they wouldn't otherwise be interested in, because they recognize these melodies. You would never see people our age going to see the symphony, but then all of a sudden Final Fantasy Distant Worlds shows up, and they come in droves. And so you can now inspire people to be interested in performances they wouldn't otherwise be interested in. And not only that, you inspire them to learn music that they wouldn't otherwise be. It's this intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. You're a lot less likely to do something if someone tells you to do it, but if you want to do it, all of a sudden it's a much more powerful motivator. Yes. I didn't really know jack shit about music theory until I discovered VGLeadsheets.com, which is this amazing site that has it's a fake book of video game music, which
That's
is
amazing.
That's
That's
outstanding.
so good.
And so, I was able to learn all these, I guess, the basics of chords and spelling chords, and now I can kind of follow along with the lead sheet. I made my own lead sheet, and thanks to that and the supportive community there, I know what a C sharp 11 chord is, and I'm able to really understand and follow along with that more.
That's right. Extensions aren't just for web browsers, kids.
Yes, it's for your chords also. Claps for that. Claps for
You guys are speaking Greek. I don't know what's happening.
And I would not have done that if you had given me a book that's 200 pages of hot cross buns. Just I wouldn't have given a shit.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have I think that your description of music, video game music, as sort of like the folk music of this time, and for some of us this generation, is really, really apt and very interesting. And I love that the focus is on how flexible the music can be and live within certain genres. Do you yourself have a favorite genre that video game music occupies? Like, is it classical? Is it metal? Are you really into like big band jazz stuff? Are we like waiting for the next huge video game reggae group to break out? Like, what is it that excites you right now in terms of genres?
I think when it comes to video game music, I think funk is what gets me the most.
Super Soul Bros.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Super Soul Brothers are amazing. And I remember Super Soul Bros, their merch is awesome. They use these American apparel. I love like t-shirt technology. These American apparel poly blends. I was wearing this shirt. I saw another guy wearing the same shirt, and I said to him, "Is that shirt not the most comfortable shirt you've ever owned?" And he says to me, without missing a beat, "Everything that band does is comfortable."
There's just so much space in those bass lines, you could stretch out.
But yeah, so the Super Soul Bros are an amazing band. Gosh, I lost my train of thought. I've been talking with them recently, so maybe
cool.
You can see.
They're San Francisco based, right?
San Jose.
Or did I make that up?
San Jose. Close enough.
One of those sands.
It's all fucking West Coast.
I know this question is like asking you to choose from among your favorite children-ish, but do you have like a favorite group or person you've booked?
So now you're talking about like people that I've booked under the brand name of Video Game in Concert, or back when I was with Magfest things.
Just that you have booked as you, the person.
I'm gonna say the Sonic Adventure Music Experience concert at Magfest 2018, June Senua, Crush 40. That one was very personally important to me. As a high schooler in 1999, walking around with my burned Sonic Adventure soundtrack CD. Just
you downloaded it off Napster, I'm sure.
Yeah, just desperately. And, of course, every track's labeled as the mini bosses, because that's all video game music in '99 was the mini bosses. Just desperately trying to get people to listen to this damn CD that I love so much, and fucking nobody gave a shit. I remember back then, just thinking, God, it'd be so cool to see this live. And then in 2018, standing on the Tech Island, surrounded by 4,000 people, just all screaming to the band playing that the actual band playing the actual soundtrack was a quite literal dream come true. I never thought, I never guessed that would actually happen, let alone me have a major part in it happening. So
yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's an incredible story, dude.
Yeah.
Do you were talking about those mini bosses, and part of what's great to me about the Mega Man series is the mini boss music. Like, there's just so much great music in the boss music for Mega Man games. Do you agree? Like, do you have one that you specifically love?
Well, I was talking more the band, the mini bosses.
You were talking about the band. Oh, sorry.
Right, because it's the mini bosses were like the first North American video game music cover band, and so therefore, every single video game cover that was on Napster was by the mini bosses, whether or not they actually did that song.
That's what it was labeled. I guess it's
much like that beer song by Weird Al and the Gin Juice cover by Fish. Which is, I don't know if I'm showing my age here when it comes to, but
I know what you're talking about, but
mistagged MP3s are lost art form.
Yes, they are. Mistagged anything.
Boss music though. Oh shit.
Yeah, boss music.
Oh god. There's a really good one that I know there's one I really love. I'm forgetting, so I'll just say in absence of that, Zero Miss from FF4. I always really liked.
Yeah.
Quick question for you, Nick. Working in the music industry and also working a little bit in the.
Do I work in the industry?
Well, you do.
Sorry.
Do you see any direction in some of these video game bands becoming more engaged with the production houses of video games to do soundtracks or to do even like Easter eggs or parts of maybe not in-game stuff, but like release soundtrack stuff?
The Tiberian Suns, which is a video game music cover band that does Command and Conquer music, and Frank Lepacki, the Command and Conquer composer, is a part of that group, or at least has performed with them. Their music was on the recent Command and Conquer re-release, and so I think you could switch between the original music or the covers is done by.
Oh, that's so cool!
Kind of like in Halo, where you can switch between like the old view and the new view, but it's just the music.
I may be making that last part about switching it, but
that'd be awesome if it was.
That would be really cool.
I know that like they were like put on the official soundtrack.
Maybe it's like
awesome.
What happens in Disney movies where they have like the R&B cover of the love song at the end, or like the Panic at the Disco cover of Into the Unknown in Frozen 2, which is fire. BT.
Ironic because it's Frozen.
Who left the fridge open?
Here we go again. Someone still left the fridge open.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for our first half. When we come back, we'll talk about pandemic life and music with Nick Marinelli of Video Games and Concert. Stick with us. Hello and welcome back to the second half of the GameBrew podcast, episode 84. We are here with the usual crew and our guest, Nick Marinelli of Video Games in Concert. What's up, y'all?
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up?
What's up, dude?
Sup,
Drinking beers.
We're drinking beers, talking video games, and talking music. I'm gonna try to open this second Guinness without pouring it all over my pants on the floor.
Oh, it's not gonna happen.
I can't even see it.
Is it the widget that's the problem?
I don't know if it's the widget or if it's me.
Column
I'm gonna
Did you hear that slow release?
go with
Okay, all right.
What the hell is wrong with you?
What's going on over there?
I don't know. Like, I do bring them from downstairs, but it's not like I'm running up the stairs.
Do you,
like
shake
shaking it in my hand?
Wait, Alice,
Please, yeah, no.
Sorry, pardon me. Again,
It's
mine in the gutter. Can't get it out.
It's okay. We're good. We're past the point of no return. So, how's everybody else doing with their beer?
Not spilling it all over myself, so clearly better than
Hey,
Roasted.
Nick, you're drinking Fireside Chat, right? How's that sitting with you?
about 2/3 done and 3 sheets to the wind.
3 sheets to the wind. I love it.
Wait.
And that remind us what kind of beer that is, and what kind of notes you're getting from it.
I'm getting notes of 7.9% is what I'm getting. Yeah.
Welcome to the GameBrew podcast.
There you go. Second half beer assessments on point. Alex, I'm curious how you feel about the Guinness Blonde.
It is my go-to drinkable beer. I always have, whenever I need to replenish it, I always get like a 30-pack of it and just stock my fridge with it.
Yeah.
It's my everyday drinker.
It's always kind of given me the same vibe as Heineken, where it's just kind of like got a...
Oh, how dare you compare this to Heineken? How dare you compare this to Heineken?
Yeah, I mean...
I'm just saying it's no Natty Boh, man. That's all I'm saying.
Heineken has a funk to it that, like, I could take it or leave, but I love the Guinness Blonde. I feel like Guinness Blonde is straight down the middle.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to put boxing gloves on Alex and Chris and have them each fight for their beer.
We've done this before.
It normally
just
ends
for
in me
normal.
getting very, very injured and crying.
But we haven't done that since you went to basic training, so...
Okay. I changed my mind. I don't want to do it anymore. I like Alex in one piece. If that's what ends up happening.
We haven't done it since basic training, so he'll probably beat my ass.
Last week on the Legend of Alex Writer.
So the second half, we wanted to take some time to just talk about how pandemic life has changed the way we game and also like the kind of music we listen to. And Nick specifically, like things for musicians have changed quite a bit since the COVID-19 crisis began. So I'm wondering, like, could you talk a little bit about your own experience and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about moving forward.
Yeah, like I went on to go into business on my own, doing freelance event management and concert booking. Boy, did I have great timing doing that. But
it's like a great idea at the time, though, right?
But I'll tell you, I had great timing not running MagFest anymore. Boy, is that convenient.
That's fair.
That is true.
Well, yeah, I've had something like a dozen gigs canceled, or they're either like confirmed or in progress with conventions or other more public events that were all set to have some bands play. But surprise, every event in 2020 is canceled. So the only thing I've been able to do on that front is just continue to try to keep relationships alive, just keep in contact with people, saying, hey, it's still not 2021. B, keep a lookout towards virtual concerts. Like there's stuff like virtual VGM Fest, which is now monthly popping up. So get a chance to play that.
That's cool.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on virtual concerts, and in particular the virtual concert that happened in Fortnite just a little while ago. Do you think that kind of success can be replicated elsewhere without the big like blockbuster status of a Fortnite?
See, I play PUBG, so for real, can you give me more information about that?
Yeah,
Fortnite
he's older than 12.
So I'm trying to remember exactly when it was. It was maybe like in April. Travis Scott did a digital Fortnite concert, and it was like a full-on concert within Fortnite. And I think there was like a Deadmau5 one, maybe in May, and it's like a different game mode. It's like a party mode. Yeah, but they were both really well attended, and obviously being digital formats, there's no danger of anybody getting sick. I'm just wondering, like, is that something that you feel is going to be even more popular moving forward, or like, how can we do that without, having to pay whatever crazy fees they paid to get Fortnite doing it?
I think that like when it comes to the overall American workforce, I think you're going to see a lot more remote work from home stuff now, because all the people that say, oh no, you can't do work from home, so all of a sudden realize you have to, and it is possible, and you're still pretty productive and not that bad. I don't think the same holds true for live music, though. There is something very special about being in the same room with other people in the band playing that music, and Virtual concerts, I think, stem the bleeding a bit, but also make you realize how much you miss the real thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
I can attest to that for sure, having just done a virtual concert myself. Yeah, Chris.
Nick, do you think you're going to be doing any virtual concerts with kind of the artists that you work with? Maybe like a VGIC fest or something like that?
We've done a couple live concerts on the VGIC YouTube channel, which is not linked from our homepage yet. I should get on that.
That's okay. We'll link it.
Yeah, we'll link it from here. Then everyone can just go here first and then.
That's not what I meant, but good thinking.
We hosted a couple console shows. One was just kind of like a general review. That's REVUE. And another was a Cuphead concert. And
cool.
And Chris Madigan sat in on that one and did some commentary and Q&A. Chris Madigan, the composer of Cuphead. Other than that, just been getting some bookings for VGIC bands in some of these virtual concerts, like the bluegrass band Hit Points. Actually, I think they're undergoing a name change. So I think Matt the Banjo Player and Company, I think, is what they're going to go under temporarily. But they'll be playing soon. 88-Bit, the classical piano player, Videri String Quartet. You can see them in some upcoming virtual concerts.
Cool.
What kind of platforms are you using for those? Is it like a Zoom type, or is it just a straight stream to sort of like a YouTube or similar platform? Or
for the ones that were VGIC hosted, we were using YouTube, and I guess we had it all over the place. It was just like simulcast of YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. The virtual VGM fests are all on Twitch.
Cool.
I have not seen Zoom for concerts yet.
Yeah,
Stay away from it. Stay away from
I mean,
it.
it's really not made for it. Like,
yeah, Zoom didn't exist until the pandemic hit, which is. I mean,
that's not true.
Well, I mean, it existed before, but no one used it until the pandemic hit.
I used it.
Okay, all right.
What's a big pain for the bands performing is that they can't, if the bands don't want to be in the same room together, there's no real technical viable way to get a band to perform remotely all together. So they have to resort to alternatives like recording like everybody except one person. I have an idea for something that I haven't seen in practice yet, but like a daisy chain call where one person calls someone else, and then that person plays with that, and then they pipe all their audio to the next person, and then they pipe all their audio to the next person. That way they're always in time with each other, even though they're in actuality not really in time. All that matters is that the last step is pushed out to the... We'll see.
Goodness.
It's complicated.
That makes my brain and my nerves just hurt. Just everything about that is like, oh God, that one last person has so much waiting on them.
Alex, with what you've been doing, have you had any recommendations for that?
My recommendation is kind of what Nick was saying, is that if you want a good quality project right now, the best way to do it is to pre-record. We started very early on the first month. We did all Facebook Live concerts, and it was musicians like on stage spaced out. And the problem with that is it's hard to nail a 30-minute long program. And so you can create a much better audio quality product and a higher quality video product with the pre-recording. And so overall, that is a no-brainer to me compared to the live. And you can still premiere it live on sites. So you can still run it like a live video and still have like audience commentary.
Right. And then record the audience commentary.
Yeah.
Nick and maybe Alex too, do you feel like coming out of, whenever in the future we're able to return to something that's more like a normal life where we can go to concerts and be a little bit more free around people outside of our own homes, do you think that anything that has happened here will translate into new concert experiences? Like, is this going to give people a greater appreciation for like using pre-recorded tracks alongside live music, or is it, is there a certain kind of music that people are going to appreciate more? Like, what are we learning right now that's going to carry on into concerts moving forward?
I know that with Victory was telling me this, that they're willing to put together pre-recorded stuff for these virtual shows, but with the primary purpose of it to demonstrate how it's not the same thing as the real thing. Because like with a rock band, everyone can play to a click track. With a string quartet and other classically instrumented ensembles, there's a lot of play and shifting of roles between each of the instrumentalists. Who's the person that's driving the tempo at this time, and if in a rock band where it's always everyone's playing the same tempo, whereas if it's more fluid in something else, you can't do it with a pre-record because there's nothing to pre-record against because everyone's changing the entire time.
Yeah.
So Victory wants to put together videos as like an educational thing to say, here's us playing it pre-recorded. Let's tell you about why that's bad.
Nice. That's cool.
But the other side of that is in larger ensembles. So once you get up to like 20 to 40 person choruses or choirs, and you get up to full concert bands, and the problem is if you have all 50 people in a concert band or an orchestra recording themselves at home on their iPhone, you're not only dealing with the low quality like MP3-ish AAC audio files that their phones are making, you're also dealing with variable frame rate that the cameras are recording at, and sync is a huge problem. And so if you don't have a click track for larger projects like that, then it becomes a post-production nightmare. And you're spending 4 to 5 times longer in edit than you would for something that you could record in a studio or track live in the same room together.
The 8-Bit Big Band did a big crowdsourced performance of Lifelight from Smash Ultimate. And I think they got like 600 some submissions of
Jeez.
Wow.
And the just the video editor, not the audio, just the video editor was working for well over 100 hours.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah.
That's fast for that much video for sure. So other than Streets of Rage Band, how has your pandemic gaming changed? Like, did you go from being one certain kind of gamer to another, or have you kind of like gone back to the old favorites and just being comfortable?
I have a thing for this. Are you still a one-trick Epona?
Looking for that quit button again.
Oh, no, don't leave.
We've deleted it from your screen. You cannot leave.
I work better when I'm in an office setting. So like pre-COVID, I would try to get up to like a local coffee shop. Even with MagFest, I could work from home, but I always try to go up to the office. Right now, I am playing an embarrassing amount of PUBG because it's just it's on the computer and I can't. It's just
there. You're playing it right now.
I mean,
right.
I can just click that start button and there we go.
Right, and like there's so much time that I 100%ed Horizon Zero Dawn, everything.
Nice,
like all achievements. Everything.
Such a good game.
Yeah,
that is a good game.
That's not a yay. That's a what the fuck are you doing with your life, Nick?
No, that's
I'm a
okay. No, it's
completionist.
okay. Remember, it's a
I'm
video
a
game
completionist.
podcast. You're okay to
You're in a safe place.
Still high up in there. So, because you play a lot of PUBG, have you played any of the other battle royales? Like aside from that one?
So that's the thing. Like other battle royales, like Apex, like Fortnite. They're more fast paced, more action oriented, more accessible, just general more fun. Which is why I'm not a fan of them.
You don't like fun. You're against fun?
I like crawling around in the grass for a half hour and then just getting blasted in the face, being like, well, they got me. It's an interesting point about like when business is actually moving and I'm able to set a good schedule for myself. If I'm working on this and this time, working on this and this time, when everything's just kind of up in the air, games just kind of fill the gap, which is, I think, not as healthy as having games when you're off the clock, using them to relax.
Right. Do you feel like this is a kind of thing I've been kind of struggling with, which is, do you feel like games now feels a little bit like an obligation almost? Because that's kind of where I find myself sometimes, where I'm like, oh, I didn't play any video games, especially with like Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm like, oh, I didn't play any video games today.
Your second life.
It's like I feel like I sometimes that triggers my, oh, I didn't get this work done feeling whenever it's like, oh, I didn't play any PUBG in the last 6 hours. Maybe I should play a round or two.
My relationship with the games is complicated, because it's like you're so busy. Well, when times are busy and there's things to do, you're like, God, I probably played the least amount of games my entire life while I was working for MagFest, the gaming festival, right? Because there's just so much other stuff to do. But like I don't know what the actual technical term for addictive personality is, but a friend once said to me, like, Nick, I noticed that when you play games, you don't play that many different games, but when you play a game, you go hard in that game.
Sure, yeah.
Like I'm a depth first kind of guy, which is why like starting a new game is always a daunting process for me, because I'm just like.
I feel that in some ways, yeah. I'm the same kind of way.
I feel that in certain ways with some games like WoW. But I mean, recently I've kind of felt the same thing as you, Dan. Where I just like I was like, oh, normally now I would play some video games, but I don't know what I want to do. So I read a book, which was something I haven't done in a while. And I don't know, it was nice. It was a Witcher book, but
So it was kind of video games a little bit.
Yeah. It was a right turn.
Yeah.
I lost power yesterday, and that was kind of nice because I was just like, I'll pick up a book and read that while I was sitting in the dark. Just put my flashlight on my chest, sat there, read a book for a little while until the power
made
came
you feel
back.
like you were 10 or whatever. And
Yeah, I was reading under the covers.
Oh,
Harry Potter, but instead it was Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, which was arguably
also like video games.
The opposite direction, but yeah.
Hey, how's that for an anticlimactic ending, huh? For Rainbow Six?
Yeah. It's the whole Rainbow. We could get into a whole discussion about Tom Clancy novels, so I don't want to take up too much time.
What happened to Rainbow 1 through 5, though?
Oh, you're a funny guy. That's top tier jokes.
Nick, aside from battle royales, which do have a very sort of gameplay loop that can get really deep if you want to get into them, what other video game genres do you find yourself digging into?
I like Metroidvanias a lot.
Ooh,
nice,
solid.
Do you have any like off the beaten path Metroidvanias that we should be looking at?
There is
or beaten path ones. I'm fine with that.
Oh,
any paths. We don't path shame.
What the hell was that game called? Dandara. Dandara.
I have heard of that.
It's a Metroidvania, and you don't walk and you don't jump. You just bound from surface to surface. It's zero G.
Trials of Fear edition.
Okay, that's a tough fucking game. But what I like about Metroidvania games is that it's a pretty basic video game formula of get the key, go to the next area. But the key in a Metroidvania isn't just, it's more than a key, it's an ability. So you kind of feel yourself progressing, becoming more powerful throughout. And I think that's the mark of a good Metroidvania, or most good games in general. Like the lock for the gate isn't just an item, it's an ability, and so the ability to build on each other as you go through that.
That's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, I like the 8-bit art for it.
Yeah, and if you're looking for another one to sink your teeth into, check out Momodora, Reverie Under the Moonlight. It's worth looking into.
Momodora.
Nick, thank you so much for being here. This was a great discussion. It was a real joy to have you on.
Yay,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, it was.
Of course.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Where can we find all of Nick's stuff? And where can we look to see his concerts?
Where can we give us all the links, Ian? We need the links.
Okay, the links.
I'm Zelda, and I need the links.
Yeah. So Nick, tell us where we can find your company.
You can check out Video Games in Concert at gamemusic.rocks. But in case you forget that, Video Games in Concert does work as well. In addition to the music booking, I used to be the executive director of MagFest, and now I do freelance event management, business operations, business strategy, and I do consulting in that manner. So if you don't know what the fuck you're doing and you need someone to tell you what you're doing wrong, boy, I am ready to tell you what you're doing wrong.
You can find us at the GameBrew on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to check out our Discord, you can do that at bit.ly/discobrew. That's going to do it for us for tonight, everybody. Say goodnight.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, but don't stop.
Don't stop till you get enough.
All right.
When we almost made it through an episode without bad singing. We were like this close.